Why do men so often fall prey to the dazzling allure of a woman's beauty only to find themselves lost and broken in its wake? This question is more than just rhetorical. It cuts to the heart of a profound human tragedy, one that the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer articulated with brutal clarity. Schopenhauer once warned, "Beauty is a deadly lure that blinds men and leads to their self-destruction." It's a sharp, unsettling statement, yet it captures a truth many men dare not face. Beauty, as seductive as it is no innocent delight. It is a biological trap, a powerful illusion crafted by nature to ensnare and control. When a man is struck by external beauty, he is not merely admiring, he is being manipulated by forces far deeper than conscious choice. This illusion can sweep away reason and self-awareness, replacing them with desire and fixation. It promises fulfillment, but often delivers loss of freedom, loss of clarity, and tragically, loss of self. The societal narrative tells us that beauty is the gateway to love, to happiness, to completion. Yet beneath this widely accepted notion lies a shadowy undercurrent. Many men, chasing the fleeting glimmer of physical allure, find themselves trapped in cycles of pain, disappointment, and identity erosion. In today's world, where images bombard us relentlessly and surface appearances are elevated above substance, this danger intensifies. Men fall deeper into the snare, mistaking beauty for truth, attraction for destiny. This video aims to peel back the glossy veneer and reveal Schopenhauer's dark warning that most men do not truly see what beauty conceals. They do not realize that chasing it without discernment can lead to profound suffering and the loss of their own inner freedom. If you have ever felt your heart caught in the grasp of a beauty that left you empty or confused, if you have questioned why love sometimes feels like a cage rather than a sanctuary, then you are already awakening to this hidden truth. Join me as we explore how this deadly allure works, why it holds such power, and how men can reclaim their vision and their freedom beyond the illusion of beauty. To truly understand the power and peril of beauty, we must turn to one of the most uncompromising philosophers of all time, Arthur Schopenhauer. His worldview was steeped in realism, often bordering on pessimism, but within his bleak analysis lies an unparalleled clarity about the nature of love and attraction. Schopenhauer believed that love is not a lofty romantic ideal, but rather a biological mechanism engineered by nature to perpetuate life itself. Love, in his eyes, is fundamentally a blind force, an instinct that compels individuals to pair and reproduce, ensuring the survival of the species. At the heart of this biological imperative is what he called the will, an irrational driving force behind all existence. The will is indifferent to personal happiness or moral considerations. It is a relentless urge to survive and propagate. Love, then, is merely one of the will's many strategies. When a man encounters a woman's beauty, he is not engaging with her as a whole human being. Instead, he is responding to a signal, a coded message embedded in physical form that suggests fertility, health, and genetic viability. Beauty, in this context, is a powerful biological illusion designed to ignite desire and prompt mating. Schopenhauer was strikingly clear: beauty is nature's bait. It is the deadly lure that masks the true intentions of the will. It blinds men, making them see not the woman's true self, with all her complexities, flaws, and individuality, but an idealized image that serves the will's reproductive agenda. This perspective radically shifts how we think about attraction. Rather than a mystical or spiritual connection, beauty is a survival tool, a mask worn by nature to ensure its own continuity. But what makes this insight so unsettling is its implication. When men fall for beauty, they are being deceived by their own biology. The love that feels so profound is often an illusion, a trick of the senses and the unconscious mind. The woman's beauty isn't a promise of happiness or fulfillment. It is a call to action, a call to continue the species regardless of personal cost. This illusion leads men to make choices that may ultimately harm their freedom and well-being. They may ignore red flags, overlook incompatibilities, and suppress their own needs, all in the service of an ideal that is not rooted in reality, but in biology's cold calculus. Schopenhauer's stark view contrasts sharply with the romantic myths that permeate culture. We are told love is about connection, about the meeting of souls, about finding the one. Yet according to Schopenhauer, much of what passes for love is the will manipulating consciousness, using beauty as its instrument. This is not to say that love is meaningless or that all attraction is shallow. Rather, Schopenhauer invites us to recognize the difference between the biological impulse and conscious choice. True love in his framework requires going beyond the surface allure, beyond the deceptive veil of beauty, to engage with the deeper reality of the person. He challenges men to awaken from the spell that beauty casts, to see past the deadly lure and to reclaim their autonomy. To love not because they are drawn by an unconscious force, but because they have consciously chosen to embrace a real person with all their imperfections and depth. In this way, Schopenhauer's philosophy is both a warning and a call to higher awareness. It warns of the danger of blind infatuation, the loss of freedom in the grip of biological necessity. But it also calls men to transcend the will's blind demands to cultivate discernment and wisdom in love. This means developing the courage to question the instincts that drive us to look beyond surface beauty and seek genuine compatibility and shared values. It means learning to separate desire from devotion, attraction from commitment. Schopenhauer's insight also encourages a deeper appreciation of inner beauty qualities like intelligence, kindness, strength, and character that are not mere signals for reproduction, but true markers of human worth. In a world increasingly obsessed with external appearances where social media glorifies curated images and physical perfection, Schopenhauer's warning feels more urgent than ever. The deadly lure has never been so potent and the cost of succumbing to it so high. But knowledge is power. By understanding the biological roots of attraction and the illusory nature of beauty, men can break free from unconscious patterns. They can learn to approach relationships with eyes wide open to value substance over surface and to love with both heart and mind fully engaged. This is the path to freedom, the freedom to love wisely, deeply, and authentically. When a man falls for beauty alone, he doesn't just lose a fleeting moment, he risks losing the essence of himself. This is the hidden price paid by those ensnared in the dazzling yet deceptive world of surface allure. Imagine the initial rush, the quickened heartbeat, the magnetic pull, the intoxicating scent of something perfect. It feels like a revelation, a discovery of a new world. But beneath this euphoric high lies a shadow, a quiet erosion that over time chips away at a man's sense of freedom and identity. The first casualty is freedom itself. Beauty, like a siren's song, commands attention and devotion. A man mesmerized by beauty becomes a prisoner of its demands, not physical chains, but psychological ones. His thoughts begin orbiting around appearances, his emotions tethered to moods and validations that fluctuate with every glance and gesture. He starts living a life dictated by the shifting tides of attraction rather than by his own inner compass. Activities that once sparked joy are neglected. Friendships fade as he retreats into an exclusive world built around pleasing or understanding the object of his desire. Freedom, once an innate right, becomes a distant memory. But freedom is only the beginning. Next is identity. When a man pours his energy into an idealized image, he often loses sight of who he truly is. His values, ambitions, and needs become secondary to the maintenance of the fantasy. He molds himself to fit the expectations he believes beauty demands. Over time, this leads to a profound disconnection from self. The irony is cruel. In the pursuit of what seems like completion, he becomes fragmented. The authentic self, the one capable of true intimacy and creativity, gets buried beneath layers of pleasing, adjusting, and fearing loss. Emotions run wild in this entanglement. The man becomes emotionally reactive rather than centered. Every rejection or disappointment feels catastrophic, shaking the very foundation of his self-worth. The emotional pendulum swings between desperate longing and numbing despair. In the most heartbreaking scenarios, this culminates in dependency. The man ceases to be an autonomous agent of his own life and becomes dependent on the presence, approval, and moods of another. This dependency masquerades as love, but is in truth a subtle form of bondage. We see this dynamic repeated in countless stories: friends who lose themselves to partners who embody idealized beauty but fail to nourish the soul. Couples who, after the initial spark fades, find themselves strangers living parallel lives. Men who sacrifice dreams, passions, and even sanity for relationships that were never built on genuine connection. Take, for example, the story of Mark, a man whose first encounter with what he called true beauty led him to abandon his career ambitions and isolate himself from lifelong friends. Mark's partner was striking an image of perfection that dazzled his world. Yet beneath the surface, the relationship was fraught with manipulation, masked as care and expectations, unspoken but rigid. Mark's sense of self diminished as he prioritized her image over his own needs. When cracks appeared, his world unraveled. The loss was not just of a relationship, but of his own identity and power. Mark's story is not unique. It echoes across cultures and generations. Philosophers like Schopenhauer would say this is no accident, but the inevitable consequence of falling for the biological trap of beauty without discernment. And the consequences don't end with heartbreak. When men chase beauty blindly, they often fall into patterns of repetition, compulsion, repeating the same mistakes attracted to similar illusions and suffering similar wounds. This cycle perpetuates emotional trauma and prevents true growth. The inner turmoil can spill over into other areas of life. Confidence wanes. Creativity dries up. Purpose blurs. A man once vibrant and full of potential can become a shadow wandering through life, haunted by the memory of what seemed like love, but was only a mirror reflecting his own unconscious needs. But it's not just the individual who pays the price. Families, communities, and societies bear the cost when love is reduced to surface appearances. Relationships founded on illusion are fragile, prone to breakdown, and often marked by conflict and resentment. The children of such unions inherit the wounds of incomplete love. Yet despite these harsh realities, the allure of beauty remains potent, seductive, and often irresistible. It's a natural impulse hardwired by evolution. But natural does not mean inevitable. Men can awaken from the trance. They can learn to see beyond the surface, to discern substance from sheen, to value character over charisma. They can reclaim their freedom, their identity, and their capacity for authentic love. But that requires awareness, a recognition of the dangers that beauty poses when idolized without understanding. It demands courage, the courage to confront discomfort, to question deep desires, and to resist societal myths that equate physical attraction with true connection. This is the path to breaking the cycle of illusion, to stepping out of the shadow cast by beauty's deadly lure, and to embracing love not as an escape, but as a conscious mutual journey toward growth and freedom. Recognizing the illusion of beauty is the first step toward reclaiming your freedom and your heart. It starts with a deep awareness, a willingness to look beyond what dazzles the eyes and to question what feeds your soul. The world has conditioned us to equate beauty with value, attraction, with worthiness. But this is a lie disguised as truth, woven into our culture by centuries of storytelling, advertising, and evolutionary imperatives. So how do you discern the real from the illusion? How do you stop chasing shadows and start connecting with substance? First, notice your reactions. Ask yourself, when you meet someone new, are you drawn primarily to their appearance or to their presence? Are you captivated by the surface gloss or by the depth beneath? This is not to deny physical attraction, it is natural and important. But when attraction becomes obsession, when it blinds you to reality, it's time to pause. Second question, your assumptions about beauty. Is your ideal of beauty shaped by media images, social pressures, or childhood conditioning? Or does it arise from genuine resonance with a person's character and soul? Beauty that captivates for a moment but leaves you empty is a warning sign. Beauty that invites curiosity, respect, and comfort. This is the real thing. Third, cultivate mindful presence. In your relationships, practice being fully present with the person before you, not the image you've constructed in your mind. Listen, not just to words, but to the silences. Observe not just the gestures, but the intentions. When you slow down and become aware, you begin to see the nuances, the inconsistencies, the patterns, the true colors beneath the surface. Fourth, develop self-knowledge. The more you understand your own desires, wounds, and projections, the less you can be deceived by illusions. Ask yourself, what are you really seeking? Are you searching for a partner to complete your happiness or to share it? Are you attracted to qualities that reflect your own strengths and values, or to fantasies that mask your fears and insecurities? This level of self-awareness is not easy. It requires honesty and courage, but it is the foundation for breaking free from the chains of superficial attraction. Fifth, build your life independently. Invest in your passions, friendships, and purpose outside of relationships. A man whose worth is rooted in his own being, not in another's approval, is less likely to fall victim to the deceptive power of external beauty. When your identity is whole and grounded, you attract partners not because you are incomplete, but because you share abundance. Finally, embrace the paradox of imperfection. True beauty often lies in imperfection, in the quirks, the flaws, the vulnerabilities that make someone human. Learn to appreciate these qualities and you'll begin to see people as they are, not as you wish them to be. This shift from idealization to acceptance is transformative. It frees you from the exhausting chase and opens the door to genuine connection. By practicing these steps, you start dismantling the unconscious projections that distort your view of love and beauty. You reclaim your eyes to see clearly, your heart to love wisely, and your spirit to live freely. Remember, escaping the illusion is not about rejecting attraction or denying desire. It is about choosing to love with awareness and refusing to sacrifice your freedom on the altar of appearances. This mindful love is not a sacrifice but a victory, a conscious dance between passion and presence, desire and discernment, and it sets the stage for relationships that nourish, empower, and endure. Building a relationship that lasts is a pursuit far removed from the glittering illusions of surface beauty. It requires courage, clarity, and commitment, not just to another person, but to the authentic values that define who you are. When you shift your focus from fleeting appearances to enduring qualities, you open the door to a love that nourishes both freedom and connection. The foundation of sustainable relationships lies in recognizing and valuing true substance qualities that transcend time and trends. These include character integrity, intelligence, empathy, and emotional maturity. Unlike external beauty, which fades and shifts with circumstances, these inner virtues are the bedrock upon which deep connection and mutual respect are built. Philosophers such as the Stoics and Jung provide timeless wisdom that can guide this journey. The Stoics remind us to cultivate virtue and self-mastery, emphasizing that the most meaningful relationships arise when both partners maintain their autonomy while supporting each other's growth. Jung, meanwhile, teaches us to embrace the complexity of the human psyche, to accept our shadows, and to seek partnership as a union of whole individuals rather than incomplete halves. A sustainable relationship therefore begins with clear boundaries. Boundaries are not barriers, they are lines that protect your integrity and your partner's as well. They allow each person to maintain their identity and freedom, fostering a space where love can thrive without suffocation. Establishing boundaries means communicating honestly about your needs, values, and limits. It means saying no when necessary and refusing to compromise on essentials. This clarity prevents resentment and builds trust, creating an environment where vulnerability is safe and growth is possible. Emotional independence is another cornerstone. Love is not about losing yourself in the other person. It's about choosing to share your wholeness. Both partners should bring their full selves into the relationship, rather than seeking completion through dependence. This dynamic shifts love from neediness to abundance, allowing the relationship to breathe and evolve naturally. To cultivate this focus on your personal development alongside the relationship, pursue your passions, maintain your friendships, and invest in your mental and physical well-being. A man who stands on his own foundation contributes strength, stability, and inspiration to the partnership. Intellectual and emotional compatibility also play a crucial role. Shared values, goals, and worldviews create a fertile ground for deep understanding and alignment. This doesn't mean sameness. Diversity can enrich relationships, but a common language of respect and purpose is vital. Emotional intelligence. The ability to recognize, understand, and manage one's own emotions and empathize with others is indispensable. It allows partners to navigate conflicts with grace, support each other through challenges, and celebrate successes together. Another often overlooked aspect is the willingness to embrace imperfection, both in oneself and in the partner. Real love acknowledges flaws, forgives mistakes, and grows stronger through adversity. It resists the temptation to idealize or control, instead choosing acceptance and compassion. This acceptance opens the way for authenticity. When both partners feel safe to be themselves without fear of judgment, the relationship transforms into a sanctuary of genuine connection. Practical wisdom also demands that couples cultivate shared rituals and meaningful experiences that deepen their bond beyond words. These moments create a reservoir of positive memories and emotional intimacy that buffer against life's inevitable storms. A vital dimension to sustaining a relationship is the constant practice of gratitude and appreciation. Recognizing and valuing your partner's efforts, qualities, and presence fosters positivity and mutual respect. It's the gentle oil that keeps the machinery of love running smoothly. Yet all these qualities are meaningless if the foundation, the self, is weak. That's why self-awareness and psychological maturity are prerequisites for lasting love. The journey inward, championed by Jungian psychology, equips men to confront their shadows, heal wounds, and integrate their complexities. Only then can they offer a whole self to the relationship, rather than a fragmented projection. Stoicism complements this by encouraging men to cultivate equanimity, maintaining composure amid life's unpredictability, and refusing to be tossed about by external events or emotional turbulence. This steadiness provides a calm harbor for both partners. Ultimately, building sustainable relationships based on true value is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process of learning, adjusting, and growing individually and together. It calls for a deep commitment to truth over comfort, growth over stagnation, and freedom over control. For the man who chooses this path, love becomes a powerful catalyst for becoming not a prison of expectation and illusion. He learns to love with open eyes and a steady heart. He understands that beauty, while captivating, is merely a gateway. Beyond it lies the vast, rich terrain of real connection, where freedom and love coexist in harmonious balance. Beauty can captivate the eyes, but it is the inner values that capture the heart and preserve your freedom. Schopenhauer's dark warning was not meant to dishearten, but to awaken, to remind us that the dazzling allure of outer beauty, so often celebrated and sought, masks a deeper truth. Chasing it without awareness can lead a man into bondage, binding his spirit and clouding his judgment. But knowledge is the first step toward freedom. Recognizing the biological and psychological forces at play empowers you to break the spell. You are not a slave to appearance. You are not bound to the illusions cast by fleeting looks or surface charm. You hold the key to your own heart and life. To live freely within love is to learn to see clearly beyond the gloss and glamour to the substance that endures. It is to cherish qualities that do not fade: integrity, kindness, wisdom, resilience, and emotional depth. This awakening calls for courage. The courage to question your desires, confront your projections, and challenge the cultural myths that equate beauty with worth. It invites you to cultivate self-awareness and emotional maturity, to nurture a life rich in purpose and connection beyond superficial attraction. When you do this, you no longer fall blindly into relationships. Instead, you choose wisely. You build connections based on authenticity, respect, and shared growth. Love becomes not a trap, but a dance between two whole beings, each free and fully present. And in this freedom, true intimacy flourishes. So to the men watching, may you awaken from the dream of illusion. May you see the beauty not as a mask, but as a window. May you find partners who reflect your truest self and inspire your highest growth. Remember, love is not the surrender of your freedom, it is its most profound expression. Cherish it, protect it, live it consciously, because your heart deserves nothing less. If this journey spoke to you, if it challenged your assumptions or illuminated your path, I invite you to share your thoughts below. Your story, your questions, your reflections enrich this conversation and help build a community of men committed to love and freedom. Don't forget to subscribe and join us for more insights that awaken the mind and empower the soul. Thank you for walking this path with me.